All right, so as we get into this, I'm just going to preface this by saying my entire state is on fire right now, and I have been struggling with dealing with campfire smoke, so I might cough a lot. But got to cover this. Georgia charges Trump and his lawyers. Trump must surrender in 10 days. I don't think that's true. I think it's even sooner than that, but I can't quite remember. But yeah, we gotta see what's going on with this, and for that we have to go to our favorite news channel, Timcast, of course. So yeah. Oh, actually, this is important. I know I'm recording a video, but what race/class are you playing in Baldur's Gate 3? A gnome bard, and I played D&D for many decades. Yes, I love D&D. It's great. I don't get to play anymore though, because.
Well, let's jump into this first story. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, from Reuters. Georgia charges Trump and former advisors in 2020 election case. Hey, hold on there a minute, Reuters. Those were lawyers, not advisors. I guess you can technically say that they were advisors because they gave him legal advice as lawyers, but that's constitutionally protected. What is Michael?
Okay. If a lawyer breaks the law, they still broke the law. And it's pretty fascinating. So we know more now. So I can't believe he recently just put out this video, I think like 2 hours ago from the time of me recording this video, which is on the 16th. And last night it was unsealed, the indictment, and it was a lot more than just giving advice. But we'll see where he takes this.
Malice call this factual but not truthful. Yes, it's factual. They advised him, but they're lawyers. Former U.S. President Donald Trump was hit with a sweeping fourth set of criminal charges on Monday when a Georgia grand jury issued an indictment accusing him of efforts to overturn his 2020 election loss to Democrat Joe Biden.
Yeah.
It's a 98 indictment listing 19 defendants and 41 criminal counts. Now, last night we talked about how the Fulton County Court released the indictment against Donald Trump prematurely, took it down, called it a fictitious document, then denied it. Now what they're saying it was a sample document, and it accidentally got published. It should never have happened. So,
so what? So what? What the fuck does that have to do with anything?
They lied then, or they're lying now. But take your pick. I think it's fairly obvious they were planning to indict Trump, bring these charges against him well before a grand jury was convened. And more importantly, they could have done it years ago. It is being done today for political purposes.
No, that's not how that fucking works. Also, like when you have a grand jury, you convene the grand jury and you have to have the indictment ready for them to decide on. You know, that's how that works. You know, it's like, can you believe that they brought out the menu before they ordered? What? What the fuck? I mean, it's a surprise that they ordered every single item on the menu. A welcomed one, I suppose. But, like, what the fuck are you even talking about? Also, the courts do not move that fast. They never do. They never do. And the fact that it even moved this fast because it's dealing with a former fucking president, that's actually pretty surprising.
I want to show you the indictment and some of the more silly elements of it, but the seriousness of it can be explained right here on the front page.
Violation of Georgia RICO, Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act, yep. Solicitation of violation of oath by public officer, false statements in writings, solicitation of violation of oath by public officer. Yeah.
Fulton Superior Court, the state of Georgia versus Donald John Trump. Rudolph Giuliani, who I believe was his lawyer. John Eastman, also a lawyer. Mark Meadows, that was Trump's, who was it, chief of staff? That was Mark Meadows. You've got, who else do we have? Kenneth Chaseborough, I believe, was a lawyer. Jeffrey Clark was a State Department attorney. Jenna Ellis was also an attorney. Interestingly,
it's great, too, because, like, there's conspiracy to commit impersonating a public officer, and forgery in the first degree. Like, and that, there are a lot more. But remember this part. Like, remember that some of these violations are very specific.
Jenna Ellis has been rather anti-Trump over the past several months
Too bad.
and has been somewhat has been critical of him now, but also supporting DeSantis.
Also, I'm kind of curious. Who did number 8? Because, like, conspiracy to commit impersonating a public officer, Rudy, Eastman, Cheseboro, Ray Stalling Smith, Robert David Cheeley. I want to know who got hit with number 8. I haven't actually read this fucking thing. It's fascinating, though.
Also, people are pulling up very old posts from her where she was very anti-Trump early on.
Who cares? What
Ray
the fuck?
Smith, Robert Cheeley, Michael Roman, David Schaefer.
David Schaefer and Micah Tresher are the ones that are getting hit for impersonating a police officer. Okay, gotcha.
David Schaefer, that one's actually fairly interesting because he met with an alternate slate of electors, then told the press all that matters is if the court cases proceed, they'll have an alternate slate of electors. For that, he's being criminally charged.
Yeah, you can't just do that. That's illegal. That's illegal, Bubba. That's fucking illegal.
On Still, Stephen Lee, Harrison Floyd, Trevian Cootie. This is funny because that's Kanye West's publicist. Apparently, she had advocated on behalf of the Trump campaign to an election official that they should pursue an investigation into voting machines. That's a criminal conspiracy. Sidney Powell. Yep. Kathleen Latham, who I believe was one of the election officials who opened the door for the Trump campaign in Coffee County. Scott Hall and Misty Hampton, another election official, I believe, opened the door. So what you have here, you have a State Department attorney being criminally charged. You have a series of lawyers being criminally charged.
Yeah, they broke the law, dude. They broke the law, bruh.
Mark Meadows was the chief of staff of Donald Trump.
He was. You checked?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. I thought I was right. Wanted to be sure, though.
Yeah.
Criminally charged in Georgia. Why? Because of a legal theory pertaining to what the vice president is or isn't allowed to do.
That's not true. That's not true. How can you say that when literally right there, it's got very specific violations, okay? Like, that. This is so fucking ridiculous.
Here's my view. Mike Pence does have the authority to reject votes in the electoral vote count.
No, he does
Richard
not.
Nixon had done it before. He chose Democrat votes over Republican votes, despite the fact that Democrats were certified. This is 1960. So using that legal theory and precedent, Mike Pence would have been able to do it.
No, incorrect. Incorrect. Those two are not equivalent. Sorry. I know you just want to, like, blatantly blow through this to, like, convince your audience to do a civil war. Also, Tim's looking fucking rough lately. Like, really rough.
Well, Mike Pence didn't do it. There you go. Whatever. You don't gotta like the guy. A lot of people don't like the guy, but that's it. They had a legal theory and plan. They asked Mike Pence. He said no. It's over. Now we can see exactly why Mike Pence refused to engage. I'm willing to bet they went to him and said, if you go along with this, you will be arrested, you will be charged, and we will destroy everything about your life. Yeah. The interesting thing is, they kept making the argument the vice president had no authority to do this. And then Mike Pence made the mistake of doing a TV interview recently where he said, I could have pushed the votes back and it would have gone to the state, to the House delegations, the House of Representatives. So he knew.
What he could have done is basically fuck up the entire proceedings when there would have been no reason to do it. It would have then had to be challenged because he's not supposed to be able to do that. The vice president's role in that is ceremonial. Like, it's it's fucking crazy.
Knew exactly what his authority and powers were. There were numerous articles written by left-wing personalities and journalists where they explained if Mike Pence rejected electoral votes, then House delegations would vote for the president. That's the normal procedure.
No, that is the abnormal procedure and one that is grossly unconstitutional and goes against the very basis for how we elect a president. Like, why would you want that? Because then, like, the entirety of choosing a president gets down to how much manipulation each party can do through gerrymandering, yet further disenfranchising voters. How could you ever advocate for something like that?
So Mike Pence, Democrats, the media, everybody began lying, saying he never had the authority to do so in the first place. which wasn't true. They then changed the laws later on to say, yeah, he can't do that. But at the time he could. So what we were really looking at was nothing criminal, but legal theory. The next people, in my view,
all of this is insanely uninformed or intentionally duplicitous and incorrect.
who will face criminal indictments. Television, media, political, high-level influential personalities who were in communication with Donald Trump or his lawyers, who then went on Twitter, YouTube, Fox News, whatever, and advocated for these election strategies, advocated for legal challenges and to find votes, advocated for the Dominion claims, and additionally, those who encouraged protest on January 6th and those who cheered on.
That was Trump. Trump, like, legitimately invited all of them to January 6th. That, like, you gonna leave that part out there, bud?
January 6th. There are a lot of people, I'm not going to name them, let this be their own business,
Trump?
that pre-January 6th were cheering, saying, yes, yes, people should go down, and saying that people...
That's Trump. That's Trump. Hang on. I gotta find this. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Here we go. We got it from the January 6th committee. I'm so glad they did that, by the way. It's fucking fantastic. I've got I'll show you the picture of it, but then I'll read it to you here. It's right here. Paul Navarro released his 36-page report alleging election fraud more than sufficient to swing victory to Trump. A great report by Peters. Statistically impossible to have lost the 2020 election. Big protests in D.C. on January 6th. Be there, will be wild. What now, Tim? What now, Timmy?
should engage in certain behaviors. Then January 6th happened. Some people actually cheered on what happened that day on social media, saying, why are people mad about this?
Yeah.
Even
Yeah. Trump did that too.
leftists. The Gravel Institute cheered for January 6th. Not that they advocated for it. Months go by, a year goes by, and you may notice that some of these personalities became hardcore DeSantis supporters and absolutely anti-Trump.
So it's a conspiracy. Gotcha.
I think there's a very obvious reason why. They were crying and shaking and begging in hopes that if they turn on Trump, the DOJ, the state level prosecutors will overlook them and not criminally charge them. Now, I can't say who.
What? Wait. What in the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, I need to know who the fuck he's talking about because that sounds fucking ridiculous. That sounds absolutely insane. Like, you don't need further conspirators about who inspired and was encouraging January 6th when it was the guy himself. What the fuck, Tim?
Necessarily holds those views. I think many of the people who turned on Trump probably felt that way. I'm not going to say I can tell you definitively any of these individuals. I will, however, point out Jenna Ellis, who turned on Trump recently, has been advocating heavily for Ron DeSantis and is now facing criminal charges and is trying to raise money.
So what? She was there and was part of it. That's why she got charged, Timmy.
The sad thing here is that ardent Trump supporters are not the biggest fans of Jenna Ellis now, and so she has no support. She's raised a few $1,000s for her legal defense. I think she deserves a legal defense. But by turning on Trump and trying to go into the DeSantis camp, you're looking at mustering up, 10% of the GOP?
Yeah. But does it matter at this point? Like, if you supported that from the beginning and then you, last minute ditch effort to, I'm going to support DeSantis in hopes that I'm not going to get in trouble.
Okay. Look, I can kind of sort of strongman this argument a little bit. Also, this dude's shirt is very fucking weird. I do not identify. It's probably his own branded merch or some shit, whoever the fuck this nerd is. I can kind of understand psychologically this whole like, well, I was a hardcore Trump supporter, and I see that he's going down. I think I might pivot my support over here. But the idea that like switching to Ron DeSantis is going to somehow save your ass from prosecution makes no sense.
I mean, obviously it doesn't matter, right?
It's an ancient struggle session tactic to get someone to denounce their own views publicly before you serve their before you take them to sentence. Socrates refused to do it. He spoke the truth until the moment he died.
Ian, come on, just chill out, dude. Just chill out. This is not that deep, bro. It's not that deep. I can't help it. I kind of fucking love this guy. I kind of do, because he's a batshit wingnut. But he does actually push back on Tim a little bit, and he's charming.
Some people, it is an old battle tactic, an authoritarian tactic to get the crowd, because then you can say, well, they admitted it, so
right.
She whatever.
They're charging them under RICO.
What does that mean exactly?
Criminal enterprise. Saying that it was a criminal organization that was conspiring to engage in illegal behaviors.
I think that is ridiculous, and I mean the whole thing, in my opinion, is ridiculous. I don't think anybody that's
why is Phil Labonte always on this show now? Like, don't get me wrong. Okay. I made friends with Phil Labonte. He's this is Phil That Remains, All That Remains lead singer, years and years ago, and he was always really super nice to me in memory, and I still like him as a person, even though his political opinions have gotten worse while mine got better. But like, I don't know. I don't like when he's on Tim when I'm watching Tim, because I don't want to criticize him too much, because he is actually he was a really nice guy to me, Yeah.
charge Donald Trump is a Republican at all.
You're right.
Hang on, I gotta know what he was saying. I don't want to misrepresent Phil.
Organization that was conspiring to engage in illegal behaviors.
I think that is ridiculous, and I mean the whole thing, in my opinion, is ridiculous. I don't think anybody that's charged Donald Trump is a Republican at all.
You're right.
So what does that have to do with anything, though? Like, honestly, the law should not be political. It is. It obviously is. It totally is. But like, you can't be like, well, they're just persecuting this guy because he's a Republican. I mean, if he did a crime, and he should do the time, right?
The entire thing is Democrats, right?
Well, no, didn't they say Jack Smith? Is Jack Smith a Democrat?
I'm not.
They look. You had a Republican go on TV in Georgia and be like, Trump ruined the Republican Party.
Yeah,
you've got
you've got tokens,
neocon and uniparty.
Oh, so they're tokens, Phil. They're tokens, are they? So people who think that like what they perceive as criminal behavior, like they're just token. Like, come on, that's the thing. That's what I mean. Like when my politics got better and his got worse. Like this is just team sports shit. It really fucking is. It's just team sports crap.
Party shows. I want to read for you Act 22 of the indictment.
Before you do, we should make it a point. RICO, it stands for Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act. It strengthens the legal tools in evidence gathering by establishing new penal prohibitions and providing enhanced sanctions and new remedies for dealing with the unlawful activities of those engaged in organized crime. What that means, what that translates to is, because we were always having trouble prosecuting organized crime because it was largely one person that was being prosecuted at a time, organized crime could build up, and this is for not just like the mafia or whatever, but also politics, that you could insulate in between these different people so that it would be hard to prosecute the people that are at the top. RICO strengthens that. It's one of those things where you see all those tropes in movies and shit of the old-time gangster, proceedings, and even the more modern ones, like The Dark Knight Returns. They had to do RICO on Gotham City's mafia because in the very first court scene, one guy's taking the fall to insulate whatever his name is. Whatever. That's the basic idea. It's a basic idea. And Georgia specializes in it too? Yep, absolutely.
They say on or about the third day of December 2020, Donald John Trump caused to be tweeted from the Twitter account at Real Donald Trump, quote, Georgia hearings now on OANN. Amazing.
Okay. Hang on. Why are you specifically reading Act 22? And also, and this is the thing too, Tim will fuck himself up on his own video. I guess Act 21, on or about the second day of December 2020, Rudy Giuliani and Jenna Ellis appeared, spoke, and presented witnesses at a meeting of the Michigan House of Representatives Oversight Committee. During the meeting, Giuliani made false statements concerning fraud in the election and solicited, requested, and importuned the Michigan legislators present at the meeting to unlawfully appoint presidential electors from Michigan. During the meeting, Jenna Ellis solicited, requested, and importuned the legislators present at the meeting to unlawfully appoint presidential electors from Michigan. These were overt acts in furtherance of the conspiracy. So again, this whole thing of like, well, it's a lawyer, and they were giving him advice, or Jenna, she tried to like turn and all, they're still going to go after her. It's literally stating that they committed a fucking conspiracy to remove the will of the people of Michigan by changing the electors to electors that they wanted, which is a fucking crime. It's a fucking crime. But he doesn't read that. He's going to read Act 22. And this is just a tweet?
This was an overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy. Now, a lot of people have said there are a lot of provisions in here about tweeting, and one was insulting Mike Pence, calling him a wimp or something like that, and that these were illegal activities. No. These aren't illegal actions.
Though literally what is right above what you read is a fucking illegal activity. It's fucking insane. It's insane that anybody fucking listens to this piece of shit. Like, what the fuck, dude?
They are arguing that Trump tweeting proves he was engaged in a conspiracy, that he was advancing his conspiracy by tweeting this.
That's so ridiculous. To attempt to defend yourself or use the legal means at your disposal to try to affect an outcome, like, it's the point was that
Phil, please, for the love of fucking God, Phil, I still like you. Your music still slaps, okay? Your music still slaps. Stop going on Tim's show. It's making you look stupid as fuck. Like, Tim literally just beat his own asshole up right there on the fucking video. I know you probably couldn't see it, Phil. I know that. I get that. That's why I'm not mad at you. But you gotta stop going on the show, because it's making you look like a fucking buffoon. Stop, dude. I love you. All that remains slaps like a motherfucker. God damn it. Phil, come on, man.
these means were legal to try to say, hey, let's recount, to see if there was some kind of fraud. That's perfectly legal. The fact that they're trying to prosecute, I honestly think the fact that they're trying to prosecute people that were in any way in business with Trump or on Team Trump is the same.
But that's not what's happening. Before you talk about this, maybe read it. Read it. Don't trust what Tim is telling you. Tim is lying. Tim is lying to your fucking face right now, and he's making you look like an idiot, Phil. Stop it.
Essentially boils down to, and this might seem a little hyperbolic, but essentially boils down to the same reason that they just smoked the dude in Utah. I think that
Which
the point,
guy? What dude?
the 75-year-old dude that
yeah.
was making threats about the president, they could have wrapped him up. The guy could barely walk. They could have kicked in his door and got him without killing him. They didn't have to drag his body out and leave him laying on the sidewalk. They didn't have to do that. There was an intent there, which is to intimidate the American people or intimidate people that are anti-establishment.
Oh, no. I don't know what he's referring to, but this is a bit wackadoodle, buddy.
And the same thing is going on, I think, for the people that have worked with Donald Trump. They're trying to intimidate people that are anti-establishment, saying, look, if you would help people that are against the establishment, against whatever you want to call it, whether you want to call it the deep state or you want to call it the bureaucracy, I don't give a crap what name you put on it. But if
How can you say that Trump is not establishment? He's a fucking billionaire. He has giant buildings all over the fucking world with his fucking name on it. He has a gilded airplane. He has golf courses everywhere, business ties with the fucking Saudis, embedded with the fucking Republican and Christian dominionist fucking mega corporations. He was the president of the United States, Phil. How can you get any more establishment than that? What are you talking about? What?
if you're against that, then we're going to unleash as much effort or as much of attention as it requires to neutralize you.
You are defending somebody that was in Jeffrey Epstein's book.
And it's the biggest, most powerful government in history. It can do multiple things at once. Taking care of you, your issues, they can do that and still do all the same stuff that they have planned. So it's not some kind of problem for them to shut people up or to shut people down or to
I'm
or
so
to intimidate
disappointed
people in
right now,
silence.
dude. I'm so.
Do you think there were
disappointed.
any personalities who got visits from Democrats, law enforcement, and were told, you're going to come out against Donald Trump or we're going to come after you?
I'm sure. Probably the bigger personalities, right?
Hey, what if thing that we're imagining right now happened? Yeah, I'm sure it did. Sure. What the fuck? Oh my God.
I don't think.
Pence.
Yeah, the big personalities. So, but then it trickles down a little bit too, because then you have the small time, right? Like someone like me who's on Instagram or any of us that are on other social media platforms. That, by the way,
The Utah dude referenced made specific claims of how, when, and why he was going to kill major politicians. It was literally the definition of substantial threat. Well, sure, I'm not saying that. I don't think that it shouldn't have been addressed, obviously. But the thing is, when it comes to, and it does sound like that guy, he needed to get a visit by the fucking cops, okay? Well, or maybe the feds or something. I don't know. But I don't fucking trust cops. I don't fucking trust cops either, So maybe it could have been handled a little bit better or something like that, But it definitely was not a political fucking killing. It's so fucking bizarre to me that you could say it's going to be a political killing. Like, it's so LARPy and imagine-y, And also, again, because I had to say something kind of sort of pro-cop, 40%. Anyway, let's go. Sorry about that. Stream alerts will be read after I'm done recording this video, just to let people know.
the Biden administration is using young Gen Z influencers to his advantage where we don't.
Well,
What? You don't? How many fucking Gen Z motherfucking kids are being hired by and paid by major right-wing corporations? There's fuck tons of them. We watch them on this channel all the time. You need to prove that the Biden administration is paying I don't know, I don't even know any left-wing influencers pro-Biden. Yay, that doesn't fucking happen.
Or the conservatives don't. But could they go after us too then? Could they go after the little guys? Sure, they do it all the time by banning your accounts.
That's what they're doing. I honestly do think this is all about intimidation.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the reason that, like I said, that the dude in Utah got smoked, I think the reason they're going after all of the people that were associates of Trump and stuff like that, I think that it's something that the establishment wants. Look, they've said clearly after January 6th, there were former members of the intelligence apparatus. I forget the guy's name. I think it was Brennan was the guy that was on. But he was talking. He's like, anyone that has anti-government opinions or feelings, everyone in America that is right of center to some degree is anti-American or anti-government, right? They want smaller government. Even people that are establishment.
Boy, Boy, if only you you understood leftists. Not very pro-government. And also, like, look, this whole, like, right-leaning people or anti-government is horse shit. Horse shit. Horse shit. To be conservative means to consolidate power. That's what it's for. That's what the right is for. It's for consolidation of power. That's why you have yet to have a right-leaning president that gave up power. Why you have yet to have right-leaning senates, right-leaning House of Representatives that have relinquished power. They have never done that. They don't do that. What they do is they deregulate industries so that mega corporations can benefit off of it. They increase taxes on the lower classes of people, you know, the people that they claim that they fucking care about, and they give tax breaks, or in some ways tax amnesty, and basically socialism for fucking mega corporations. This idea that the right or conservatism is anti-fucking government is insanity. It's actually brainworms fucking insanity. It is no more valid than somebody just going up and saying it is. There's nothing substantial that has ever supported that. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist.
Right-leaning people. They're ostensibly smaller government, but like anyone that's like a MAGA person or a libertarian or any kind of anarchist or independents that want to limit the military-industrial complex, or people that want to limit the security state and the surveillance apparatus, all of those people are the enemy of the government now.
But the problem is, I want a healthy government, and if that means it needs to slim down because the government has become obese, I'm okay with the government going on a workout program.
They are not.
You are
though.
the
That's
problem,
the problem.
Well, I don't agree. If the government wants to preserve itself, it needs to take itself seriously and restructure itself.
But it's
from
got
time
the
to
gun.
time.
They're not going to restructure because it's not about that. It's about power and money. It's about power and money. Simple as that. The only time they slim down on government regulations is to the benefit of the fucking corporations. That's it.
That's why we need to restructure from time to time
That's
as a unit.
How do we do that?
Well, Vivek Ramaswamy suggests that we cut the FBI. I think it's the FBI, and then send a lot of the, fire a lot of the administrative guys.
That's not going to do shit, Ian. That's not going to do shit. Step number 1, get money out of politics. Repeal Citizens United. Hands fucking down. Corporations are no longer fucking people. That's number 1. That's number fucking 1. Reinstitute policies by which you cannot have any kind of external financial or influential influence while you are a public servant. Now, name me one fucking politician, aside from Bernie Sanders, that has echoed that sentiment, something that will actually substantially change that in our government. Doesn't exist. Not, at least, especially not on the right.
But then move a lot of the necessary pieces to other parts of government, Homeland Security, CIA, Department of Energy.
Dude, Obama on a campaign promise said that we were going to repeal Citizens United. Never did it. Could have done it. Could have done it. Done. Never did it. Neither did Trump. Neither will any of the rest of them. Nope. And you know why? Because I'll tell you why. It's because the Democrats are right of center. They are also about consolidating power. Simple as. It's all the same fucking club, dude. It's just Republicans are evil.
He has it listed, in fact, and I retweeted it. It's on Twitter. I'd love to point you to it.
I'm on the same page with you, homie.
Vivek is great. Like I think that he's a great candidate, and I
But
think
nobody
that
can
everything.
say his name.
The Cake
Vivek-
Man. We got to
Vivek-
call him the
Vivek.
Cake Man because it's Vivek like cake. We got to call him the Cake Man, so that'll stick
But
to get people to remember.
Anybody that runs or anybody that has an opposing opinion from it, this is my opinion from this current administration
Your feelings? Tell us your feelings there, Snowpuff.
or the left is automatically just they're like no, because they've now thrown out all these racist, homophobic, xenophobic, like all these words, if you're for some reason anti-government, we're seeing it now that people are thinking that the American flag makes you racist, and like it's a never-ending no matter who
What in the fuck is this dumb shit say? What is he? What?
you are. If you come out against the current administration, you're wrong. Whether it's Vivek. Sorry about that, Vivek.
He forgives you.
Yes, thank you. Or anybody else. You know, I mean, they're even doing it to Kennedy, and he's one of them.
I think it's important to remember that anti-government and smaller government is not the same thing. You need a healthy government, and sometimes it needs to be smaller or larger to make it healthy. But if you love your government, you want it to be the healthiest it can be, and that means sometimes slimming down the bloat.
Well, I don't
Swear.
love the government. What's to love about the government?
Yeah, not really.
It's a chance for us to
Roads. Roads, dude. Trade. The internet. Literally every aspect of your life is influenced by the fucking government. Like I'm sorry, but like that's like a 12-year-old's understanding. Like, no, we don't need the government. Libertarianism is such a fucking ridiculous concept. The philosophy of libertarianism, I believe in. Absolutely believe in. Absolutely. People should have the liberty and freedom to try and pursue as much as they want to. But that doesn't mean removing all of the shit that makes our lives better just because right now it's making our lives worse. That is a child's perspective on how to deal with shit. And small government doesn't work. We try that, but because we don't have the kind of safeguards in place to make sure that it's not going to go off the fucking rails, it always goes off the rails. And very, very smart people with lots of money abuse the system. And that's not to say that having more government influence always works out. A good example of that is the I'm trying to remember the name of the act, but basically the Democrat-led push to and it was Clinton. It was Clinton, I think. It was started with Carter, and it worked really, really well. And then it went to Clinton. It was an effort to push the banks to give more loans to lower income people so they could buy houses. Now, the problem with this was there were no limits that were put on it so that banks couldn't do shit like subprime lending and packaging up this and that and selling off the fucking debts and all this, and it caused the housing crisis, right? But before they started fucking doing that, that program worked amazing. Amazing. But they didn't put any limits in it. And they started seeing those problems happening right at the end of the Clinton administration and all throughout George W's tenure. He knew for 6 years that shit was going to happen, and he didn't put any replacements on it either. He didn't restructure it financially either, which is why we had a global market fucking crash and the housing bubble pop. So it's a balancing act. It's almost like the idea of small or big government is a very nuanced one, and the government should be modified and adapt according to the changes in the world around it. That's a fucking weird concept, right? It's so strange. Does Streamer even know what subprime is for? It's for broke people to pay for things with shit credit. Yes, that's right. I do know what that is. But then, that's not the problem. The problem is what happens when that debt is being manipulated by banks with no limitations on them, and it causes the fucking housing bubble crash. That's what happened. We know that's what happened because that's what fucking happened. You know? Like, it's wild. It's wild.
Coordinate national defense and protect each other.
That's military.
And economic.
That's the fucking government, Phil.
Transportation.
Obviously, I'm as a libertarian kind of leaning kind of guy. I want the smaller government. So as much cutting as you can do, I'm going to be down with. So
yeah,
let me
start. Oh yeah,
I want to show you a few examples. So we did get a super chat. Virtual Rifle says, "Read Act 156." There's a handful of acts in this in furtherance of the conspiracy. One of them is a good example, Act 156. Donald John Trump committed the felony offense of solicitation of violation of oath by public officer when he said to Brad Raffensperger, a public officer, quote, decertify, I'm sorry, he said, I want to make sure I'll just read it. Public officer, he asked him to engage in conduct constituting the felony offense of violation of oath by public officer by unlawfully, quote, decertifying the election or whatever the correct legal remedy is and announce the true winner in willful and intentional violation of the terms of the oath of said person as prescribed by law. That's probably
Okay. Yep. So, okay. Yeah, that's fair. Yep.
probably the perfect example of what this is. Donald Trump said to the Secretary of State, engage in the correct legal remedy for what is going on. And that is a violation of your oath of office or solicitation of a violation of oath of office to ask someone to enact correct legal remedies.
No, Tim. That was the fucking infamous call where he is like, I need you to find me more votes. If you remove the context, yeah, sure, you made a good point there, Tim. But if you actually, add the whole thing in and what's it called? If you don't lie, then that he asked him to break his oath, buddy.
In fact, he said, do a thing, which may or may not have been legal, or the correct legal remedy. Meaning, if the thing was illegal, you instead do the correct legal remedy. So how is asking someone to do a legal remedy illegal?
Because they both knew it was illegal. He was informed that was not factual and it was not correct. So he's asking him to lie.
Because they are just indicting. It's indictments don't matter. As we've pointed out time and time again, women aren't legally allowed to skydive in Florida on Sunday. Ain't no woman's getting arrested for that.
Right.
Disorderly conduct. What does that mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen
Define
people
it in the moment.
engaged in free speech be criminally charged with disorderly conduct.
Yeah, and you support that when it's Antifa.
That's a charge they can slap on anyone for any reason at any time. And then they can arrest you, remove you, and then maybe you go to court and you say, Your Honor, I was just speaking, and the judge says, okay, you're free to go, but you still got locked up. If you don't get bail, you could be in there for a month or longer. If you get locked up on the weekend, on a Friday, you're there over the weekend.
That sounds, what you just read about that, of him asking a guy to do the legal remedy, and then they're saying that what he did was illegal by asking that guy to do a legal thing. I still don't understand that.
We know. We understand that you don't understand that. It's fine, Ian. It's fine.
Maybe that's because there's something in there that was
Here's another
untoward.
good one. Byron York says, it has to lead to an illegal act eventually, doesn't it? Look at David Schaefer, GOP chair.
Look, conspiracy. You can have a conspiracy to commit a crime and not actually commit the crime and still get nailed with conspiracy. Yeah, you totally can.
He meets with Trump, quote, electors, December 14th, 2020, explains to the press that electors are contingent on Trump winning a lawsuit, and that is forgery, false statement, and impersonating a public officer.
Well, okay. Again, a lot of this is going to come out in the fucking trial, which I really hope they televise. If they televise it, I'm going to stream the fuck out of that. I will be addicted. I'll be fucking glued to that shit if I'm not on motorcycle tour at the time. I'll be all over that, baby. All over that. But again, the impersonating a public officer, that's a very specific thing. And that might, in and of itself, be them trying to basically manufacture their own electors, which obviously is a criminal conspiracy. That you can't really get past that. It's hard to argue out of that. They have their own electors. Remember, we're all at the states' rights, right? They have their electors. But no, we're going to have a different set of electors that you were not in charge of, but they're going to vote the way that we want them to vote. Thus disenfranchising all the voters of that fucking state. It's bananas.
That's what they're charging him with. Alternate electors have been done before. This is the Democrats just basically saying, We will do whatever we want and we will crush you. And right now, what are we getting from Republicans in the GOP? Angry tweets. Angry tweets.
What are we getting from you? Peeing and pooping your diaper? Jesus fucking Christ, man.
It's
I'm looking forward to getting a monitor in here because I gotta read this.
So, and they want this to go all the way up. You know, they want to prolong this for as long as possible because ultimately they don't want Trump to.
the Republicans.
Well, maybe both.
They want to preserve order, that's for sure. Sorry.
The Democrats definitely want Trump, and I mean, I don't know.
Nah, I think establishment Republicans don't want Trump either, but they see him as the only chance they have to get back into the White House, no matter how much of a piece of shit he is, no matter how much of a threat to democracy is. It's fucking nuts.
I mean, I don't have a whole lot of faith in Trump's ability to win. Like, if he's the nominee, I'll vote for him. I'm going to vote for whoever's not the Democrat, not Biden.
Team sports.
But like, I don't see that he's going to make a whole lot of, especially with all the indictments. I don't see that he's going to bring a lot of people over.
You don't think that this motivates people more to want to vote for him?
No, not really.
Not people that don't. Not people that don't already kind of like him. If you're not somewhat sympathetic to Trump already, if you weren't, I don't think this is making people sympathetic to him now.
I don't think it's sympathetic to Trump per se. I think it's more of a, at this point, it's like, okay, because he's being indicted all these times,
Yeah.
I'm gonna vote for it. I don't know. I feel like it's a mind thing.
That's just, you're just telling on yourself that you're really easily swayed and emotionally led. That's pretty much it, buddy.
I don't think that you're wrong. I think there are people that do feel that way.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's enough to win the presidency.
It's not.
Yeah. Okay,
That's my
fair.
opinion.
I mean, there is no right and wrong, I guess, answer, but
Well, I mean, we
don't
can't know. You
Yeah,
can't know
obviously.
until the election.
Yeah.
But I personally don't feel like I feel like there are people that strongly want Trump, and there are people that are always going to be committed to Trump. I just don't know that they're.
Committed is a very good word for that. We'll leave on that. We'll end on that, unless Tim has some other dumb shit to say. You know what he does? All right, fuck it.
I don't know that there are enough people that would go over to Trump. That have been in the middle. I just don't know. I don't know who that voter, the undecided voter that goes over is. I don't know.
I've it's really funny. There are a lot of people who are terminally online, and
Really, Tim?
these activists online say things like touch grass, and it's like, bro, you are a leftist on Twitter who does nothing but just we like I'm going we go out on the weekends to various different middle of nowhere places often, and we talk to people, we ask them questions.
Yes, you sound more and more like a fucking reptilian every single time I watch you, Tim. I swear to God.
And I found something really interesting with friends of friends, extended family members, and just people out in the general public. People that I know a couple of years ago who are passively anti-Trump have become passively anti-Democrat. Doesn't necessarily mean they're going to vote for Trump. But a few years ago,
Sure.
we're coming on the back end of the COVID lockdowns and the pandemic and all that, they were very much on board with the corporate narrative.
Uh-huh.
Then you kind of destroy the economy, destroy their trust, force them to do things they didn't want to do, lock them in a box.
Who did that, Tim? Who started Operation Warp Speed and enacted the first policies for, staying at home and social distancing and shit like that? Whomst was in office when that was going on, Tim?
And now I'm talking to some of these people, and they're saying things that are passively anti-establishment, anti-Democrat. Mm-hmm. So I don't know where they end up voting, but if Donald Trump becomes once again the avatar of the anger and frustration of these people, he gets their vote. Someone tweeted a good point that people aren't necessarily voting for Trump. They're voting for what the machine hates the most and fears.
No, shut the fuck up. God damn it. Shut the fuck up. Look, I don't even like Biden. Biden's just another fucking rightoid, neo-corporatist fucking dickhead, cloaked in at least enough non-evil for us to forget that he is a soulless, blood-sucking piece of shit politician like everybody else. So he does manage to do some good. One thing you really got to give the guy, though, he's fixing some of the bigger evils that Trump managed to fucking do. Because, listen, Trump and conservatives and the right wing are the party of fucking cruelty. They absolutely are. Consolidation of power at the cost of other people, and they don't care who the fuck they hurt. They don't care. Democrats, at the very least, will try and mitigate how much they fucking destroy people, but for the purposes of consolidating and growing power. But one thing you do have to give Biden, our economy is doing really fucking good right now. Really good. Policies put into place to try and fight global inflation, which was not his fault, it was the fault of a fucking pandemic, are working. They're fucking working really well. So if you have like substantial concerns for why you'd want to vote and not just social culture war garbage, it's pretty easy how most people would end up voting, like actual specific economic governmental issues. But that's not what Tim does, because Tim doesn't look at policies. What Tim does is he looks at outrage and conspiracy, and that's all it's about. That's all this dog shit is ever about. It's fucking crazy, dude.